Daniel, maybe downstairs for lunch. Okay, lesson. Let's talk about some things I did.
Okay. All right. Well, we're looking at standard 1, which is basically how well do you understand the learners or the learning process.
Yeah.
And different components of that. You seem to have quite a good grasp of these students and how they do learn.
Yeah.
You've obviously got a very good rapport with them. There's a lot of humor. Kind of the free-form conversation of the lesson went very easily, which that tells me, first time watching this class, that you do have a good connection with them and you do understand them quite well. They seem to understand you quite well as well. So yeah, stated objectives, kind of going at the mechanics of the lesson. Stated the objectives right at the beginning, had them on the board, and the homework right at the beginning. It's very solid. Good overview generally of the information. It was a nice kind of well-paced introduction. Threw some interesting facts there. And the activity, I think, it's a shame we kind of ran out of time.
Yes.
Because it was a good activity. Didn't take too long, but it got them on their feet, got them thinking. I would have liked to see an extra 5 or 10 minutes and hear what some of the other groups said. But it's always kind of tricky, especially doing activity for the first time, seeing how it's going to go. The only thing I would say, as a history teacher myself, when I'm teaching some material, some content like this, I always try to find, I guess writers would call it like a narrative arc or a key point that kind of ties everything together. And I kind of just restate that over the course of the lesson. So, for example, with this lesson, with the Incas, I guess I would focus on the fact that they did all these amazing things, but they didn't have things like a writing system, a written language.
Yeah.
They didn't have money, which you mentioned, actually. You mentioned both of these things. I might have started out with that, because it's kind of how this particular group of people are unique among civilizations. Almost every civilization, by definition, has a written language, and they don't. And yet they were able to do all these amazing things, like the brain surgery and all that stuff. But that's just something to keep in mind. I don't think it...
So you use that to anchor the lesson, get the interest at the beginning.
Yeah, it's kind of like a topic sentence or a theme.
Right.
It's just it requires you to look at the content that you're presenting and just kind of figure out what kind of theme ties this all together. What's a way to encapsulate it? It takes some doing. It takes some time. But it's just, I don't think it really detracted from your lesson that you didn't have that.
Yeah, no, it's something I can implement.
But I think it's something that would kind of tightens the material up.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But overall, I thought it was pretty solid.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think some of the... So, I thought the lesson was alright, first of all. I didn't think it was the best lesson I've ever done, without a doubt. What I would have liked to have been able to do is, if I had more time, a lot more work with the students, a lot less me talking. I don't like me talking, but especially when I'm introducing a new topic like the Incas, there always tends to be either a lot of me talking to introduce who they are and what was going on, or a lot of videos. So I would like to have had more work, and I think next lesson there's going to be a lot more work on the Incas. We're going to be talking about when the Spanish come too, so they'll get a chance to sort of, with their partners, think over some of these important points about the Incas and how they were different.
Yeah.
So, because it was a short lesson, 35-minute lesson, there wasn't a lot of that in there. The other thing I don't think I did very well during that lesson was explain, I don't know how it came across, but explain what a primary and secondary source was. I fumbled through it.
I think it was okay. It was clear enough. You used the example that we discussed before that I've used, and I think everybody pretty much understood that. I saw when they were doing the group work, pretty much everyone understood with the autobiography, for example, that's a primary source. It is something that takes time to build up. I think it was more just because of the limited time that you had.
Right, I was worried about that too, of course. One of my worries is that maybe with like ESL class, which I'll have to teach this too, how I'm going to teach that with them. So I'll work through that and I'll come up with some ways. Have you got any suggestions?
Well, I think some of the things we discussed, like making more visually based, more of a kind of a art production type thing. That's probably the best way to approach it.
Okay, good. Yeah, have you got any other points? Is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it just you mentioned you did a little too much talking. You think? I think that's inevitable when you're introducing a topic. One thing I do want to ask: these kids often ask? Because I notice a lot of students kept asking questions about really minute details.
Oh, they love it.
They do that all the time.
all the time. Especially the ones who are doing it during that class, like Ken. He loves just finding any question to ask, just so that you can ask a question. But it's we get into some very interesting things because of that. But at other times, it just disrupts the lesson.
Right.
So the way I deal with that quite often is just say, "Oh, we'll discuss that later," and I'll come back to it. Normally, Ken will come up to me in the hallway and be like, "Mark, what about that?" And I'll talk to him.
Yeah, it might be worth thinking about because that's good. It's really positive. It might be worth thinking about a way to channel that so it is a bit more structured. Something just popped into my head right now. I've never tried this, but if you have like a poster board, it's like a question poster or like a whiteboard, and they can write down the things that they thought about, they have questions about, but you don't really have time to cover in the main class. And these are things either you can give them extended reading or some kind of small research assignment, or you can discuss it. But at least you remember what kids are thinking about and what they're what questions they had. Because the tendency, if you say, "Well, we'll discuss it next time," a lot of times you will forget or you won't have time next time. So.
True.
But,
so a question poster board, maybe with some paper next to it, where they can stick up any questions
kind of like a suggestions board, but for questions that they have. That
interesting. Yeah, I'll give that a shot for next week. Actually, I'll probably put them in all the classrooms. I think I'll talk to the other teachers and see if they like the idea too. Yeah, that's good. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Was the homework clear?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I did have a question about that. When you ask them to write, is this just in their notebooks? Do they have a specific form that they write it in, or?
Well, that's something we should discuss with Stephen. They used to have a homework diary. This term, for some reason, they got rid of the homework diaries. So what they've been doing now is writing them in their notebooks. And I don't mind that, so long as they remember it. The one great thing they brought in this term is they have the homework boards to remind them about their homework anyway. So that's there. But yeah, they normally write them in their notebooks.
Okay. All right. We'll see how that works. But.
In the future, I was thinking it might be easier and save time if I actually start printing off a homework worksheet for them. I write that down, a homework worksheet for them, so that they can just take one on their way out and not forget.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, thanks again.
Thanks
very much.